Hi there, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Tina from Tinaheals.com, and I am a little late for this Capricorn eclipse video, but better late than never. So let's get straight to the point. Now, I will be discussing astrology for the first 10 to 15 minutes, and I will be really dissecting it for you, not the regular modern astrology, but really looking at, you guys know I've been getting into Hellenistic astrology, but I also look at the nakshatra system, the fixed stars, and all of that. So let's get straight to the point. This transition happened basically about 2 years or so that I've really been looking at the rulerships, and then because I've grown up with the Vedic system, so I sort of knew that like Saturn for Aquarius makes more sense than Uranus. Although you look at Uranus for finer nuances. So using that, and I was using Placidus before, but I shifted to the whole sign houses, and then I started to look at the nakshatras and the fixed stars and all of that, because I really got into the Beacatrix, and that is what pushed me towards ancient Hellenistic astrology and talisman making in this tradition. So let me not waste any time. Let me get straight to the point. Some very, very interesting things happening here. So let me channel this information for you, because I'm not just an astrologer who looks at the charts or looks at the basic aspects in your natal chart and says, okay, this is a square, so this is the meaning, this is it. No, when I do a natal chart, I channel all this information. I have established a relationship with the planetary daimons, or the spirits of the planets, for many, many years. Uh, since I was a child, actually, from doing Navagraha mantra when I was barely 5, to doing particular practices on certain days because of certain afflictions. This is something I've grown up with. So establishing a connection with the planets is my primary focus. Even when I do natal charts, I try to connect you to your final dispositor. I try to connect you to the planet who may be a malefic in your life, but maybe if you establish that connection, that conflict can be alleviated in some way. So that is what I look at when I do natal charts. I look at connecting you to the planetary daemons, giving you the information you need to really work with what you have come in the karmic agreement. That is your natal chart. Your natal chart is your karmic agreement. So oftentimes what I may write for Mars in the 12th in Scorpio may be different to somebody who's got Mars in the 12th in Scorpio. So each chart is channeled differently. When I make a chart, I don't keep written chunks and adding them on for whatever aspects. Okay, maybe Sun conjunct Venus or Saturn conjunct Mars. I don't have standard write-ups like that, because for every single natal chart that I do, I channel this information from the planetary daimons. I work with the final dispositor. I work with his day, with his timing, with his mantras, with his invocation, with his incense, with suffumigation. So that is my role as an astrologer, is to connect the dance of as above so below, to connect you to your planetary diamonds. So this Capricorn eclipse is on the 13th degree. 13 is a very precious number. It is a number of the goddess, and then patriarchy took it over, and of course perverted the whole concept of 13. And suddenly Friday the 13th, and Jason was born, right, when he was hacking all sorts of people as sacrifice on Friday the 13th. So that is how history got perverted. The matriarchy got perverted in the patriarchy. The matriarchal symbols were perverted and taken down. And I speak of the matriarchy and powerful feminine energy, because this is a sort of feminine resurrection, because Vesta, the eternal fire, the eternal flame, is present in this lunation. And not only that, the Sabian symbol for this lunation happens to be a fire worshipper, worships on the realities, worships and ponders on the realities of existence. So the Sabian symbol connects to the asteroid Vesta being in play, which I'll get to in a short while. But let us first understand the lunation in great detail. Of course, we know that the moon is opposite Mercury, because Mercury and the sun are in Cancer. Okay, and the sun and Mercury are with Sirius. The sun is conjunct Sirius, the dog star, the ones that the Dogon civilization spoke of even before they had any sort of telescopic instrument, right? So Vesta, this Vesta is right now in Capricorn and is conjunct the moon, and this is a very sexual, very libidinal energy at play. Capricorn is, of course, a very libidinal energy. We don't oftentimes associate that with a Saturn ruled sign, but it is. And oftentimes it is great in bed because of this sheer endurance it brings to the equation. Now, this eclipse is a penumbral eclipse. It's a partial lunar eclipse, right? And this is the last one in the Cancer Capricorn polarity. Okay, and now we see that the sun is in Cancer and the moon is, of course, in Capricorn. This is the last leg of eclipses here, and then the eclipses shift modality. Now Rahu, or the North Node, is in Gemini in mutable air. Ketu, or the South Node, is in Sagittarius, mutable fire. So the shift is complete. This is the very last leg of the shift. So whatever was sown with this partial lunar eclipse in Sagittarius that just went, this eclipse is sort of watering those seeds. Okay, is fixated on bringing to life those seeds, and the temperament is very moist. Okay, the temperature of all the planets right now in the signs, there's a lot of coldness and moistness, and moistness is very important for fecundity and fertility. Okay, now the sun and the moon are both separating, of course, from the nodes, and the eclipse is separating and taking us to a mutable modality. Mutable is about adaptability. Okay, and we need to adapt right now because we've got COVID, and the last time the nodes were in Sagittarius and Gemini. We had in America the 2001 September 11th attack, and 9/11, and everything changed after that. So I see travel restrictions. Please watch my video on Ketu. I've written an article as well as made a video on Rahu and Ketu in Gemini Sagittarius. So please catch those videos if you haven't. Now, very, very interesting, the shift from cardinality into mutable. I'm very excited about this. It's happening after 19 years. A lot of things are going to change, and a lot of things are going to transmute and transform with the shift of Caput Dragonis, which is Rahu and Ketu, of course. Now, let's get straight to the moon. While I talk, I would be cutting the cards, so I'll keep it down so you hear the astrology. So basically, the moon is in detriment in Capricorn. Why? Because the moon rules Cancer. So Cancer and Capricorn are a polarity. So whichever sign a particular luminary rules, the opposite sign is not a place of strength for that particular planet. So Luna is not in a very healthy space right now emotionally in Capricorn, and who rules her? A retrograde Saturn, who's returning back to Capricorn after his little foray into Aquarius. He's sort of coming back into Capricorn. It's like, hello, what happened? I was here for 2.5 years, and what happened to all the changes that I wanted and all the things that I put out for you to do, Capricorn, did you do them? And now Capricorn, the nanny goat, has to answer to Saturn, and Capricorn still of course had Jupiter and Pluto meet up over there. Watch my video on the Jupiter Pluto conjunction if you haven't already. Now interestingly, if you look at the sign of Capricorn, you see that it's ruled by Saturn. And which planet does it exalt? It exalts Mars. Okay, it exalts Mars, our action principle, Mars, conflict, strife, war. So this is why even Luna is uncomfortable, because Mars and Luna don't have that beautiful connection. Now, Venus is who Luna needs to look at, because Venus is the ruler in daytime triplicity. So, Venus is now finally going direct and bringing forth all this information that she got from the solar logos once she had her inferior conjunction with the sun, and she is now going direct. Yoo-hoo for that in Gemini. And if you look at this placement, if you see the moon in Capricorn, and I think a nocturnal chart would ease the affliction in this triplicity, okay, because Venus does well in a night chart. Now moving on to the moon and the alignments she had. The alignment she had right before this lunation, right before the opposition with the sun, and she met Mars in Aries, and she met Uranus in Taurus, and a retrograde Mercury in Cancer, of course. And now, so Luna is in Capricorn, and she is in a sign that exalts Mars. So she has to pay that respect to Mars right now. She just met Mars in Aries, and Mars is about to go retrograde this month end. And basically Luna is carrying his message, okay, is carrying his message to Mercury, whom she's meeting by opposition, and this is sort of intensifying the square between Mercury and Mars. Both these planets have an ongoing square, and Luna is intensifying that square and giving it more power, because she's bringing information from Mars and relaying it to Mercury, and Mercury's like, okay, you're coming, because your Luna met Mars and now she's meeting Mercury in opposition. So she's giving him all this information, okay? And then that the moon is one of the lights and the sun being the other light. And now what is happening is Luna is giving this Martian energy to Uranus through a trine. Okay, and if you look at Uranus, he is the spiritual epiphany, the spiritual awakener. Abrupt changes, volatility is in the air, and Uranus collects the light, because when the lights pass over planets, they receive the light and they collect the light. All right. Now the eclipse happens to be in the duration of 2 hours and 45 minutes. 2 hours and 45 minutes, and the effect of this will be 2 months, 22 days and 12 hours. Interesting. 2 months, so yeah, about August, yes. Right, August 10th. Now looking at the temperament of the Cancer ingress, okay, we've got 2 planets in hot signs, 1 in dry, 5 in cold, and 6 in moist. Like I told you, cold and moist is what's going on with the humors right now. You know about the astrological humors, right? Now the temperament of the sun's ingress is phlegmatic, okay, phlegm, mucus. So COVID-19, allergies, any kind of airborne diseases can, it can be heavy cases of infection, reinfection, and relapse of COVID-19. It can occur, okay. Reinfection and relapse is something that I see. I've been speaking about this for ages, and when I looked at the chart, I saw how phlegmatic the temperament is, okay. Now so it's very in all the astrological humors, phlegmatic is the most difficult to manage, okay, and contain. So we will have a difficult time containing COVID-19 as it spreads. I predict, because of this temperament of cold and moist, I predict that there will be a massive torrential rains in the northern hemisphere. It'll be a wet summer, okay, and in the southern hemisphere it'll be a very cold and wet winter. Mark my words, okay. And I see huge tropical storms, okay, with this Uranus holding on to this light. It's gonna be very volatile with earth changes. Now, according to Ibn Arabi, this lunation is taking place on the 23rd Manzil of the moon, okay, and this is called the this has got a very provocative name, this Manzil. It's called fortune of the swallower, fortune of the swallower, right? And this specifications, it speaks of divorce, it causes divorce, uh freedom of captives. So if certain people were incarcerated, if it's their time to go, they can be let go, uh and healing of the sick. So thankfully there's a healing component to this, okay. Talismans that are made on this manzil are all destructive talismans. So it's baleful magic, mostly destruction and wasting talismans are made on in this manzil. Now the lunation is of course conjunct the asteroid Vesta. Vesta, the virgin goddesses, the priestesses who were sacred in the knowledge of sexual alchemy. There were sexual priestesses, sexual prostitutes, sacred prostitutes in the temples, in Roman temples, who kept the fire going. So this was the Vestal virgins were very powerful in the ancient world, okay. And I think every culture, Greek or the Romans, even India, has their own form of the Vestal virgins, okay. It's called Devdasis in India. And there's a very sexual energy with the Vestal virgins, because they did not belong to any men. They had freedom, unlike the other women. They were important people in society, the Vestal virgins. So there's this women's autonomy at play, women's sexual freedom, just a very libidinal energy with Vesta. And Vesta is a sacred flame. So how precious is that? Because the Sabian symbol is a fire worshipper, and the moon is conjunct Vesta. I don't even know what to say. There's very few planets in fire though, but there's a sacred fire that is burning in the midst of us. It's a very, very precious fire, okay. Om Swaha. In India we say Om Swaha. After any interaction with the fire, we say Om Swaha. Swaha is Agni Deva's wife. So if you say Om Swaha, the fire will not harm you, right? So very sexual energy, emancipating energy, very healing energy with this Vesta, the asteroid conjunct the lunation. And of course we know that the moon is opposite Mercury, I told you. So there could be distractions with communication, unable to communicate your emotions, unable to connect to the mother, maybe, many other things. The trine to Uranus is electrifying, sexual, very libidinal, very freedom oriented. Now the moon is conjunct the fixed star, two fixed stars, Acela, and Acela is the signification for Acela is new and influential friends, valuable gifts, love of respectful women. So it's a benefic fixed star, okay. It's both these stars are the nature of Jupiter and Mercury. So we already have Mercury active this lunation. Luna is opposing Mercury, Now we have, of course, moon conjunct the fixed star Nunki, and this the signification of Nunki is successful right on science, philosophy, education, agriculture, unorthodox in religion. So we see again religion taking a back step, defeats enemies, and many friends. So illnesses of this fixed star is of saturnine nature. So problems with the knees, problems with the bones, osteoporosis, and all of that. Now the sun is conjunct Sirius. I've written tons about Sirius. Check out my videos. Sirius is of course of the nature of Jupiter and Mars, and so it speaks of bold honors. Okay, it speaks of honor, renown, wealth, order, faith, faithfulness, devotion, passion, resentment, and makes its natives custodians, curators, and guardians. So it's a fixed star that gives you power. Okay. Now, like I said, the Sabian symbol is a fire worshipper. So doing any kind of candle magic or fire meditation or havan or any form of fire meditation can be very, very sacred. Okay, and this fire worshipper Sabian symbol connects me directly to the Vestal Virgins, and the Vestal Virgins being the keeper of the sacred flame. So sacred sexuality is very much in focus with this energy. Healing through tantric sexual modalities or sexual healing of any sort, even if it is, just letting go of trauma that you hold on. So interesting, because this happens to be the concluding eclipse, so there's always this endings and beginnings energy that is playing out. So Aries, what do we have for you? Of course, we've got this lunation in your 10th house. So it's gonna be like Capricorn is your 10th house of prestige, social standing, social recognition. And for you we have wow, the 9 of Wands in reverse. It means that you are tired of fighting for something or standing up for something, and it's almost like no matter how hard you try to prove yourself, it could be an issue with